all that kind of stuff. I just look at it as music, you know. But I feel sorry for anybody who only listens to one form of music.
Unsigned, you're listening to the Freeza Block Show. Local, milehigh.underground.com. Unsigned, local artists, unsigned artists. Music you may have never heard before, music you'll want to hear again. All right here on the Freeza Block Show.
So very stoked to have today's Paramount joining us, man. Great stuff. I knew I'd end up doing that, man. It is today's Paramount. Let's give these guys some applause, man. Really good stuff, man. Today's Paramount. We have Cooper, Chris, Joel, and Taylor. They are in the studio, and indeed. Hey, tell us, you guys, a little bit about well, the music, man. What, you know, we were talking a little bit off the air about what kind of music today's Paramount is, and honestly, I don't think there's any way you guys can really kind of box it in or describe it or put it in any kind of genre, right? Or right?
Yeah, it's always a tough question. I don't know. You guys usually come up with something.
Hey, go ahead and
descriptions that I've ever heard is
pull up the mic a little bit too.
Ballroom. Someone compared us to a Transylvanian ballroom, and I thought that was incredible. That just made me happy.
Well, kind of describe it a little bit, if you would, man.
Yeah, so I mean, we're all over the place. We play, you know, just straight up rock and roll. We play some Americana, and we've got a lot of influence from the Eastern world, you know, strange scales, and we all love lots of delay and reverb, and so we've got some psychedelia in there as well, and really, yeah, we just have a lot of influences, and it all comes together in what we write.
Tell us a little bit about the Eastern European influence, why you guys have that, and you know, just why, I guess. Simple enough.
I guess that's what we gravitate towards, between like having a violin mixed with like this Western influence with doom and heavier sounding stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, you could.
I mean, we all ran into Gogol Bordello at some point or another early on in our music playing lives, and all of us really dig them. And a lot of bands like that, and just those sorts of scales, Russian and just Eastern European.
No, are you guys from Europe, or any of you guys, you know, from influenced from that area? You know what I'm saying? You have parents or, you know, whatever, relatives.
Maybe ancestors we don't know about.
Yeah, not really. Yeah.
Well, you know, and that's the funny thing. I mean, that's why, you know, I asked why, you know, where the influence comes from, but it's not actually from, you know, from experience or from growing up with that, man, which is different, man. Cooper, tell us a little bit about what you do with the band, and say hi to everybody. Let everybody know which one Cooper is. And if I call you Coop, will you get mad? Because everybody calls you Coop, don't they?
Yeah.
Indeed. Go ahead, man. Tell us what you do with the band, and pull the mic up to you a little bit, man.
Well, I play drums.
All right.
I've been playing drums in today's program for about, what is it, 8, 7 years, 9 years? Joel and I have been playing in today's program for a long time. We've held that name for a long time now, but with the current lineup you see, we've been playing for about 5 or 6 years. And so I've just been maintaining the rock and drum sense.
Is this your first ever band?
Yeah.
Yeah. So first and only, huh?
First and only.
I mean, I play in side projects, but this is the one that's been the constant.
So you do other stuff, right?
Not outside of today's Paramount, no.
No.
We're monogamous.
Do you have like a huge giant set? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, or you know?
No,
I pretty minimal.
Set pretty simple, like 3 cymbals tops.
Your bass drum's pretty huge. So.
My bass drum, my old one was pretty big, but I have a pretty standard set right now, 5-piece. Pretty like rock and roll, a little bit of jazz influence to it.
Oh, kick ass, man.
Yeah.
It is Cooper, Chris, Joel, and Taylor. They are today's Paramount, and you can catch them actually at tomorrow, right? You guys are doing some this thing called a pop-up record store deal, and we almost forgot about that, man. Tell us a little bit about how that's going and what that is, man.
So a local band, Rebedo, who totally
Shouts out to Rebedo.
Yeah,
they're badass.
they're incredible dudes. They're releasing their third record, and they're hosting a pop-up record store at the Understudy, which is the coffee shop right in DCPA.
And for those who don't know, what is a pop-up record store?
So it's it's just a run-of-the-mill coffee shop, but they're going to be hosting a ton of local bands, albums, and merch along with their new stuff this weekend. So it really just shows how much those guys support the local scene, and it's a really cool idea.
Yeah, you got to get out there. I'm going to get out there myself. Tell the folks where it is so they can come out, and about what time it is.
So it's all weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I believe it starts at 7 tomorrow night, Friday night, and then goes through the whole weekend. And it's at the Understudy, which is the coffee shop right out on the corner of the Denver Performing Arts Complex, 15th and something or other.
Well, the folks know where it is. You know, there's only one Understudy coffee shop down there, DCPA. And shouts out to those folks for going ahead and, kind of putting forth, kind of seeing that there's some really kick-ass music here in this local scene and putting something behind it, man. They're excited about that, man. We got some music here, so we, can't keep the people in suspense for too long. We want to hear what kind of music it is. Like I said before, we couldn't really classify it. So you got a bunch of songs here. You guys let me hook up. So let's go ahead and go with one of your favorites. I know this is the fun part where we do that. We should play the Jeopardy music where you guys decide amongst yourselves which song you want to feature.
Let's do it. You guys want to do Agathusia?
That's what I was thinking.
It's the first track on the album.
Awesome. It is called Agathusia. Agathusia, and tell us what that actually means, if that means anything. The songs, of course, are subjective, but hey.
The word Agathusia means to end something, and more specifically yourself, for the better good.
Well, that's self-explanatory right there, folks. It is today's Paramount. This song is called Agathusia. Mile High Underground, the Freeza Block Show.
The base of a monster staring in your mirror, shovel to the base, all the fear and anxiety creeps Lust will slowly bore recognition from this apparition. Just and the vision manifests into a clean decision. With this man, I do not like you, and I positively detach you to what you can, but so Brazil, he's not no forgiving clean incision. Oh, Lord, and so I realize I find it so absurd, Lord, but the only life I've got is yours. Fate is non-existent and detrimental to this fragile system, painful to relate. The creation comes from individualism. me question everything that you know necessary. Blow man, such a shame the process has to happen so. Oh, yes, this man, I do not know him, and I certainly can't control him too. What he can, I won't console him. Loneliness destroys his with confusion. Ooh, oh, yes, Lord, realize he's trying to find his soul. Rest yourself, oh, Lord, but behind your eyes lies a time to divide and soul.
Yes, indeed. It's today's Paramount in the studio. Good stuff from them. And I totally got the vibe there at the Eastern European style vibe, man. And you ever like been at one of the shows and just like guy jumps out in that, you know, Bavarian costume and does the Russian Hasek dance or anything like that for you guys? Just curious.
Oh, I wish. Not yet.
Maybe you guys should hire somebody to do that for your show.
Yeah. Do you have this talent?
No, not me, man. Are you kidding? I could barely bend down on my one knee, so it's good stuff, man. Hey, that bell is for a hit or a shot. All the today's Paramount fans, break it on out. It doesn't necessarily have to be weed or alcohol, but just a little bit of something to get you right on through this interview and something to get you through life. And also when we make a good point. So awesome stuff, man. We have today's Paramount in the studio. Cooper, Chris, Joel, and Taylor, thank you guys so much for coming on in, man. And Chris, tell us a little bit about what you do. Raise your hand. Tell everybody, show everybody that you're Chris.
Hello, everybody. I'm Chris.
Yeah, Chris. What do you do with the band?
I play bass and I attempt to sing backup vocals.
Attempt?
Yeah.
Did they have to force you, or did you volunteer?
Oh no, I like to try to do it. I don't have a voice like Joel, but I wash it with a shit ton of, or a lot of delay. And yeah.
That's the way you can do it, man.
Yeah.
Delay and reverb and all the tricks of the trade, man. Yeah. Good stuff. And but you mostly play bass though.
Yeah.
So when you were kids and stuff, I mean, you know, when did you start liking the fact that you might want to play music?
Pretty early on. I grew up with our keyboardist Taylor, and then later met Joel and Cooper. And actually, Taylor's dad sold me my first P bass, I think, and it just kind of took off from there. Gravitated towards it.
A little bit more every a little bit better of an instrument every couple of years. And were you like a beggar? You know, did you have to beg your folks, or were they really excited about, hey, man, he has an interest?
No, my mom is super awesome. She's always supported my career as a artist.
She come on out to the shows and stuff too?
Yeah, when she can, yeah. We play a little late for the parents.
Sometimes not.
Yeah.
How about all you guys, man? Does everybody, you know, kind of have, you know, folks come to the band, to the show, or just maybe the first one and, well, that was nice.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys sound great.
Well, that's all right, man. At least they support you and they love you, man. And shouts out to the folks for supporting you guys, because obviously all of you probably wouldn't be here without any you know, kind of support, you know, from your folks or from, you know, grandma, grandpa, or whoever the heck it was, man. Good stuff, man. We do have today's Paramount in the studio. They're going to be at the Rainbow Bar in Pueblo December 8th with Dead Orchids and Pretty Mouth. Shouts out to those two bands indeed. And it's going to be a really good time. And if you can't drive on down to Pueblo, then come on down to Lost Lake on January 13th. They're going to be playing with Giardia and Helgermites. Yes, Helgermites. I've never heard of the Helgermites, but I'm excited to hear about them, man. Good stuff, man. You guys like playing at the Lost Lake, or have you been playing there before? Or kind of?
Yeah. We've played through a lot of its different transitions. They've upgraded the stage a lot over the past 5 years or however long ago. Tony Mason bought it.
Shouts out to Tony Mason.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's awesome. And so is the place now. They've upgraded it slowly but surely, and it's really incredible now.
Yeah, putting
Sounds
putting
great.
a little cash into it and getting some bands in there that really can rock the house like you guys. And I'm looking forward to that show, man. Make sure to check them out. January 13th, Lost Lake with Giardia and Helgramites. Indeed, indeed. And all right, man. And Joel, thanks driving all the way up from Pueblo, man. That's a hell of a drive, man. Thank you so much for coming on up, man. And tell the folks what you do with this band. And I'm going to let you kind of give a little bit of the chronology of when it started and all that good stuff, even if you don't know.
I'm Joel. I sing and play guitar and violin. And today's Paramount started, I guess, with me and Cooper between elementary and middle school, just playing a bunch of Green Day covers. And, eventually we played with a lot of different people and messed around with a lot of different kind of sounds, a lot more of typical sounds than now. It's evolved into something that I think we all think is pretty unique, and that's why we're doing it. But yeah, went through high school and met the both of these folks, and it's been better and better ever since. We're working on material for our second album, and we'll be releasing a single within the next few months.
Kick ass, indeed, indeed. It's today's Paramount in the studio. We're talking with Cooper, Chris, Joel, and Taylor, and we were just talking with Joel there, and he was telling us a little bit about an intentional, a shift from the regular kind of rock and roll that you hear on the radio or just any time from a lot of bands, straight for you guys decided, hey, we want to change this up. We want it to be different. Tell us why and kind of how that kind of started the evolution of your different sound.
I think we all just got somewhat sick of hearing similar things throughout, and there's not a whole lot of unique things out there, unique artists. Well, I shouldn't say not a whole lot, because there are a ton, but not many of them are very popular, I guess. And I think we're all alike. We all have very, very varied musical interests, but we're all alike in that those small, unique things just really get us going, give us a music boner.
Tell us a little bit about your upbringing and growing up. Did you start off playing guitar, or did you start off playing the violin or fiddle, or what do you like to call it, by the way?
I usually say violin, but
there we go. Classy dude, right
that's
there.
The shot bell.
Classy
Take
dude.
a shot. I started on piano, I guess. My mom was a piano teacher, and I really wanted to learn violin from a young age, and she started me on piano, and I'm thankful that she did, because it's definitely a perfect beginning instrument, lays it all out really well. And as far as just understanding the basics of notes and music, that's a good instrument to start on. And then I picked up a little bit of violin and gave it up around middle school to be cool and play guitar.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. What were you thinking about? Were you thinking about the music, or were you thinking about chicks, man?
Oh, a little both.
There you go, man. Double up, folks. Double up.
Take a shot if you're cool.
Awesome. So, but eventually you decided to go right on back, to playing the violin.
Yeah.
Do you still dabble in the keyboards once in a while, or?
Yeah, definitely. Especially when trying to write new progressions or whatever. It's just a really simple way to look at it and have that visual aspect of trying to write something new.
Have you gone through classical training, like music theory and that kind of stuff, or has any of you guys done that, or have are you guys kind of just play on your, what I mean?
I dropped out of college after a year. I
Yeah.
learned some music theory, and then
did you kind of think what drove you to not do it anymore?
a whole bunch of things, laziness being pretty primary.
There we go, man. Hey, at least you own up to it, man. It's all good.
But Taylor went through school and graduated and got all kinds of training.
Well, let's talk to you, Taylor. Let's switch it on up to you. What do you do with this band? It is today's Paramount, by the way, in the studio. So tell us a little bit. Go ahead and pull that mic up to you a little bit too, man, so we can hear you. Taylor, what do you do with this band, by the way?
I play keys and synths.
All right.
And yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, music theory and all that stuff. Was that something that you were kind of like really wanting to do, or does that make sense?
Not like really at the beginning. I really wanted to, I went to school for audio production and music business.
Okay.
But that was like, you had to have the music theory background to really get into that. And so that was a part of school. But as I went through school and got more and more into it, I enjoyed it more and more.
I was just going to ask, tell us a little bit what kind of got you back into thinking, well, you know what, this isn't so bad. I mean, I'm sure there was a point in time there where you were like, either one way or the other on the deal.
Yeah, I guess when we started getting into like jazz progressions and like heavier chords and stuff, once you learn the rules, you can start learning how to break them in really cool ways. And that's when I was like, oh, like knowing this is going to help me.
Are you guys doing a lot of that now in, the sense of this band and what you guys put together and put out?
Yeah. It's
a lot of breaking the rules.
And these guys, they break all the rules. And I can analyze it and go oh shit, this is complicated stuff, and that's one of my favorite parts about what we do is the heavy stuff, the not 1-4-5 chords,
right?
4-4 beat.
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated than the average. Indeed. It's not 4/4 time. That's what I'm talking about. It is today's Paramount. They are in the studio. Make sure to check them out and drive on down to Pueblo. They're going to be at the Rainbow Bar with Dead Orchids and Pretty Mouth. And, of course, if you want to wait it on out, January 13th at the Lost Lake with Giardia and Hilger Mites. Indeed. Good stuff, man. And we're going to go ahead and play another song. This one is called Caulfield King. I think I feel a little Catcher in the Rye reference kind of coming on there. Tell us a little bit about that song.
A lot of the artists I enjoy, I like when people can tell a good story through lyrics, and this is just that in my attempt at it as far as the lyrics goes. And they was inspired by the sound of the music. The music was written first, and it's a good story.
All right, man. We're going to listen to it. This song is called Caulfield King. It is today's Paramount in the studio. This is the Freeza Block Show.
Well, when you live it on the country, King once told me, and nothing ever come for free. On the farm, you better work real hard to starve your family. So we had to find a way out of the different lifestyle before we were self-insane. He wanted what he hadn't gotten, had to go and try to chemical adrenaline. King stuck down into the cellar, cracked his father's safe, stole the family Winchester, shot them down in bed. They were down and late night in So the boy started planning his escape with everything to gain. Amphetamines kick in much harder and flow straight to the brain. They were shot in late night in Well, he made it all the way down to Louisiana on 7-9 to get crazy. Following the holiday with degree, his purpose ain't always the same again. Well, he made it all the way down to Louisiana on 7-9 to get crazy. Following the holiday with degree, his purpose ain't always the same again. So.
Today's Paramount in the studio. Thank you guys so much. That song again was called Caulfield King. Caulfield King, indeed. Great stuff, good stories. And the thing is, what I caught from that is a lot of influence, I would think, and I don't know, from Mike Patton and maybe some, Mr. Bungle style deal.
Yes, sir.
Would tell us a little bit about that, man. Do you guys kind of really like a lot of that kind of music?
Yeah, definitely. I think Mr. Bungle in particular was a game-changing band for me growing up. My bass teacher showed me them and kind of just blew my mind of what music could be.
And it really does blow, I guess, the average person's mind, somebody that's used to 4/4 time and simple beats and Beatles music, I guess, if you would say so. To hear that kind of music and to hear, you know what I'm saying, and to hear it just in different forms and different styles and the clashing and irreverent style. I love it, man. And I like the fact that you guys decided, hey, we can do that too, or we could do some of it. It's not, I mean, clearly it's its own thing, but I can really tell, especially in that song, the Mike Patton influence, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Awesome stuff. Awesome. Taylor, tell us a little bit about, what you guys do. Do you guys, to get prepared on the road or on a show, for a show? And, is there a whole lot of prep you guys do other than rehearsing? And anybody could take this, I guess.
Nah, you're asking the right guy.
Are you like the hard ass? Are you like the mom of the band? You got to kind of get it all together.
You could say that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like the alcoholic father.
Right. Thank God none of you guys are girls. I'm just saying.
And I don't know. We just we practice. We do rehearsals, and then we work on new stuff. We have writing sessions, and we kind of separate. We have been separating those recently, working on new stuff rather than rehearsing for a show and just running through what we've already got down. And
there's definitely a little bit of both, though, right? I mean, you guys definitely have to prepare for the shows when they're coming up. I like your configuration. It's a little bit different than the average. A few of these bands have been kind of, on stage a little bit different than normal. I don't know. Tell us a little bit about your setup. And folks, if anybody wants to see their setup, make sure to come on out to the Rainbow Bar on December 8th and on January 13th to the Lost Lake and see this gig, man. I know you're looking at me like, well, I don't know, configuration. I mean,
I mean, drums, bass, violin, guitar, and keys, and we all switch up and play a lot of different timbres.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. I mean, you guys,
right? Cooper does a ton of tom stuff, where a lot of drummers keep to the kick snare thing, and a lot of cymbal stuff and shakers and hand percussion, that kind of thing. And Chris goes from smooth bass lines to pop and slaps, and Joel switches up from violin and guitar in between phrases, and I whiny synths and beautiful sounding Rhodes. So we're all over the place.
Do you guys like that though? I mean, kind of being all over the place yet meeting in the middle.
Yeah,
is that kind of what you would describe yourselves kind of as a little bit? I mean, structure wise, especially in a live show.
Yeah.
Am I asking tripped out questions today or what?
No, they're just really good. Think about them. But yeah, I think it's important to keep things interesting and also organic. And I think when we play live, it's a whole nother beast compared to listening to us on an album.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I encourage all of you listeners to see us live.
Yeah, make sure, again, to come on out. Pueblo, all the folks down there in Pueblo, December 8th at the Rainbow Bar with Dead Orchids and Pretty Mouth. And again, at January 13th, right up here at the Lost Lake over there on East Colfax. Again, shouts out to Tony Mason for turning that place around. Indeed. January 13th, they're going to be there with Giardia and Hilgermites. Indeed. Good stuff, man. We are talking with today's Paramount, and we cannot go the rest of the show without finding out how in the hell you guys came up with that name and what it means to each and every one of you and what you want it to mean to us. Anybody could take this one. Anybody.
Well, I mean, the name came from my brother a long time ago. Around when Joel and I started to play together, we were going through names, couldn't find anything that really stuck, and then my brother mentioned today's Paramount, and we looked up the meaning of Paramount, whatever, and came up with our own meanings for it.
I like multiple meanings for different words, man. Especially when you make them up yourself.
Right. Yeah.
So I like that, man. What I know you're going to try to tell me what it does mean to you, and I like to, if you guys have different meanings for it, I want to hear it, man.
Yeah. I mean, what it means to me is, today's Paramount. Today is Paramount, and so I just take that as do what you can today to make yourself happy and just fill your life as much as you can, because there may not be a tomorrow, because things can happen, and so you got to make sure you're living your life as full as you can. So
yeah, and I think for me, on that note, I keep a today's Paramount symbol above my clock because reminds me to be present throughout my day. Like, I think a lot of people are caught up in anxiety or depression of their daily routine or thinking about the big picture. So for me, the band, and especially when we play live, it allows me to be completely present in the moment. And I think that's what makes happiness happen.
Good stuff, man. All right, man. Joel, I know you got something different, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily different. I think these guys covered it really well. I always enjoy little like grammatical nerdy things, but with the apostrophe, it's today is paramount, and if not, it's the paramount of today, which is just real conceited. But I like that it can have two separate meanings. You may think it's one thing, and then to us, it's a really powerful phrase.
Taylor?
Yeah, because you could be dead tomorrow.
There you go, man.
Today's paramount.
That is right. Indeed, indeed. Today's Paramount in the studio. Great stuff from Cooper, Chris, Joel, and Taylor. Again, check them out at the Rainbow Bar in Pueblo, December 8th, January 13th at the Lost Lake. And tomorrow, just come on up and say hi to them at the pop-up record store over there at the Understudy at the DCPA. Are you guys going to be there all 3 days or just kind of tomorrow?
I'm definitely going to hang out tomorrow.
Right on.
And probably buy some music.
Yeah, man, don't just check out these guys' music. Check out a lot of the other stuff that we have here on the local scene, man. Good stuff, man. This next song I'm going to play is called Horsetooth. Do you guys like this song? Is this one of the ones you guys would like to feature all the time?
Yeah, and I think that relates closely to the last question of just the meaning of today's Paramount, because the song, at least lyrically and musically, has a pretty positive outlook, but realistic. Positive but realistic, and that's today's Paramount.
Nice. All right, man. It is Horsetooth. That's not the name of the band. It's the name of the song. The name of the band is Today's Paramount. They're right here with us on MileHighUnderground.com and the Freeza Block Show.
Overconfidence can lead to a static stance. Unwarranted contentedness comes with a lack of sense. Take a look at our potential, it's frivolously spent. And I'm reluctant to tell you that I'm no different, you're no different. Oh, I can feel it. Oh, I know you can feel it. Oh, we ignore it. We ignore it. destruction creates an apathetic nation. A fatal combination, ignorance and total submission. And our only reaction is lack of satisfaction. The necessity for action has reached its maximum, and I can feel it coming on. Oh, I can feel it. Oh, I know you can feel it. Oh, we ignore it. We ignore
Today's Paramount in the studio. That song was called Horse Tooth. You guys could check them out live. That song sounds so good, super, super loud. Like you guys will have it down there at the Rainbow Room in Pueblo. Rainbow Bar, not the Rainbow Room, the Rainbow Bar, December 8th with Dead Orchids and Pretty Mouth, and January 13th at the Lost Lake, right up here on East Colfax with Giardia and the Helgermites, man. Great stuff, man. Like that song a lot, man. I love it, love it. Tell us a little bit about the song construction. Does somebody like come like with a beat when you guys are going to make a new song, or is it a beat, or is it some lyrics, or how do you guys kind of get a genesis of a song started?
Typically lyrics, and then, well, no, you guys write the chord progressions and the lyrics on top of that and bring it to the band.
Yeah, I mean, you came up with the riff that started Horsetooth, right?
No, that was Corbett. But it's usually like like chord progression or a riff that one of us will come up with, bring to the band, then we'll expand on that. We'll jam it for a couple hours, see where it takes us. Take things from it that we liked, and then just make a song from there.
Yeah, it's like one person has a shell and the rest of us like act as like producers or something like that.
Yeah,
build a song from like a little part.
Is there a lot of tension sometimes at a way, like maybe somebody has an idea of a way a song's going to go, and then let's say Joel just decides to just sing something that's totally not what you were thinking the way the song was going to be, and then what I mean, there's like some tension.
No, I think it all develops pretty organically. Just somehow we've been playing together long enough to where it just kind of meshes into something. So
how long have you guys been together as this group right here?
Too long.
6 years.
Yeah, 6, 7, something like that.
Yeah,
it's about to be another new year, so
Yeah.
I don't know where that puts us.
hey man, at 8,
does,
huh?
huh?
We'll put you at 8 years running strong, man. Good stuff. Today's Paramount
It's only just
in
begun.
the studio. Good stuff, man. It's Cooper, Chris, Joel, and Taylor, man. And these guys are such kick-ass musicians, and they're really, really good. You have to check them out at the Rainbow Pueblo on December 8th, and again January 13th at the Lost Lake with Giardia and Helgermites, man. Have you guys been on some shows sometimes where you're just like booked with like some really strange acts, like maybe a country band or an easy listening kind of band, or
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about when that happened, if it happened at all.
Only with Afton. I think everyone should stay away from them and any other major booking company. Just to give that like the opposite of a shout out. These companies that'll just throw 8, 10, 12 bands on a one-day bill during the AM and make you sell a bunch of tickets at $15 a pop to see you play for 20 minutes.
Oh, that sounds like a little bit of an experience. Tell us a little bit more into detail. What you guys had an AM show that you guys had to put on somewhere, obviously, like in a park, perhaps, or something like that, or how, break it down a little bit for us, if you would.
We've played some bad shows, like every band should.
Yeah,
I think
True
you gotta earn
that,
it.
my friend.
But we have a ton of bad show stories.
What was that one bar in Littleton?
Columbine Lounge.
The Columbine
Okay,
Lounge.
let's hear about that, because I know that place pretty well. And honestly, I don't go there too often, but I have been there to see a couple of shows. And well, tell us your story.
it's just super close to where we all grew up, and we're in high school. Us and all of our friends were under 21, and because it was so close to our schools, a bunch of people showed up, and then we played at like 10:30, but at 10 o'clock they kicked everyone under 21 out. And between that and unexperienced sound guys, and I don't even remember if there was one that night, it was mainly them kicking out all of our friends.
Right, and
That was
then,
so
and then end up playing for a bunch of old guys that only want to hear the Eagles. Right? Yeah. So then that sucks,
Yep.
man. Yeah. that's a drag, that a lot of times the folks that may be older and stuff, but really aren't into hearing anything new or experiencing any new music. They just want to hear ZZ Top and
Right.
Led Zeppelin and
They want to
old
hear the
deal.
classics.
Yeah, I
which
mean,
we don't play.
I was gonna say you guys don't dabble into that or at all, do you? No.
No,
When
we
you
don't
guys-
really do covers.
Right. Well, when you guys do play, though, do every once in a while, if you guys know you have time or whatever, or maybe even in when you guys are, rehearsing, you kind of just veer off and kind of jam band a little bit and maybe come up with some new stuff, or-
We used to jam when we were younger, and that I think developed into songs. But nowadays, if we ever tried to cover a song, it just turns into
Mush.
yeah, and then we start writing something that we like. Yeah, because we can't play other people's music, which works to our benefit. I'm
Yeah.
sure we could make a lot more money if we could do that, but it's not what it's about.
Well, let's explore that a little bit. Obviously your music isn't really, we're not going to hear it on Alice. We're not going to hear it on any of the radio stations. And I'm pretty sure when you guys go to put this music together, or when it comes out, it's not for that kind of intent in the first place. And tell us what the intent is.
I think we play music that we like to listen to, selfishly maybe. And then it's like any good art, you create it almost for yourself. You can't really create with the intent of making money or making other people happy, because then I think the end product is going to be something fake, not true, or have soul to it. Yeah.
And how do you feel about that, in general, folks that maybe, have to go out and pump out new songs every, 90 days or whatever,
Well, you got to make a living.
Make money.
I guess I respect it to a certain degree, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, it's just a different, like, let's write a pop song versus let's write something that comes from all our crazy influences that we put together, kind of thing.
Good stuff, man. Tell us a little bit. You said you had some new stuff that you guys are working on and probably looking forward to in 2018. Can we kind of put a little bit of a date on that or anything like that?
We're going to try to drop our single in March.
Yeah.
There we go.
And a new album is in the works. I'm just making things up while I'm talking.
Hey, you can, man. That's
World tour.
That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
You guys get set off on your world tour starting in Amsterdam in 2019. Well, you might as well start off somewhere
But
cool.
yeah, our single coming out is going to be called Second Coming, which I think is appropriate for our next album.
That's right. And for all those out there who have dirty minds, it's not exactly what he's talking about.
Oh, it is.
Oh, it might be, baby. Oh, all right, indeed. It's today's Paramount. Give them a thumbing and a liking on the Facebook. That'll take you to their Instagram page and anywhere else that they got stuff, man. So make sure you check them out. Give them some love. They are today's Paramount. We're joined by Cooper, Chris, Joel, and Taylor. And well, we got a little bit of time left. You got a song called 5.56 on there, and it sounds pretty cool. And I don't have no idea what it is other than a bunch of numbers.
Ammunition.
All right. Well, anything else you want to say about it? Anybody?
It's another story song, like Caulfield King. It's just a story.
It's a story.
One of our slower, jazzier songs for sure.
Awesome. Good stuff, man. It is today's Paramount. We're joined by Cooper, Chris, Joel, and Taylor. This song, 5.56. Today's Paramount. Freeza Block Show. MileHighUnderground.com.
It's coming down, right down inside of me. Oh, it's taken all that I found, every last thing, right back out to sea. Oh, you thought that deal was gold. Unfortunately, it was a scam for them to take your life from your hands. Oh, 9:15 a.m. Grab your trusty Mac 10 and hit the ground as you start to hear rifle rounds. Oh, 50 grade won't mean shit when there's a 5.56 lost in your side and you don't know if you'll survive. Your fears won't rest. A man's only tough until his final breath. Oh, you know the end to the story. Shell casings, body bags, CNN, NBC, all praised by your district attorney.
Great stuff. It is today's Paramount. Cooper, Chris, Joel, and Taylor, you guys, thank you so much for coming on in. That song was kick ass, man. I really liked it a lot. It was chill and mellow, and it had something to do with ammunition as well. So I don't know. You want to break that down a little farther, or just ammunition and as in like I don't know what kind of ammunition.
5.56 by 45 millimeter.
It's all about the guns.
That's,
Okay.
yeah, that's a round that comes out of a AR-15.
There you go, folks. It's
It's
all about the peace and love, baby.
That song is just like a story that I came up with, just like a drug deal gone south, and that's all it is. It doesn't come from anything true, just from the dark depths of my twisted mind.
Sometimes when you're thinking about songs like that song, I could see like in some kind of like a Quentin Tarantino movie or anything like that. Do you kind of sometimes think about like writing for soundtracks and things like that? Is that kind of your deal a little bit?
Definitely. That's my dream job, would be a music supervisor for
There you go.
action movies. I think about that all the time.
There you go. And that song, indeed, I honestly, I can get that vibe, from it. Indeed, I could totally see what you're saying about something going bad, that could normally be a regular, normal situation and just turn into a S show. So indeed, it is today's Paramount. It is Cooper, Chris, Joel, and Taylor. Make sure to check them out at the Rainbow Bar in Pueblo with Dead Orchids and Pretty Mouth, January 13th at the Lost Lake. And they're going to be with Giardia and the Helgermites. I can't believe I got that right every single time. Helgermites, indeed. Man, good stuff, man. We're going to finish this interview right on out. This song is called Corbett. I'm going to talk a little bit over it. Again, thank you guys so much for coming on in, man. We have had a great time. Make sure to check us out next week. We're going to be here at the same time, doing it all over again with the band Throttle Bomb. So make sure to check us out then. It's going to be a great time. It is the Freeza Block Show. Again, make sure to check these guys out. They are today's Paramount. They're going to be at the Rainbow Bar in Pueblo and January 13th at the Lost Lake with Giardia and Helgermeister. Helgermeyer, I knew I screwed that up, man. The Helgermites. Indeed. Check them on out. They're going to be at the pop-up record store tomorrow, too, at the understudy at the DCPA. But make sure to check them out. Give them a thumb and a liking on Facebook. Today's Paramount. Thank you guys so much. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.